Happy New Year! Oh my God, it's 2021. Everything is exactly the same. But Happy New Year. Hi, I am Christy Lukasiak, and this is Christy's Couch. Welcome to my couch. All right, so it is officially 2021. I think the entire universe has been waiting for the calendar to flip so we can officially say that we are out of the dumpster fire that was 2020. Although I have to admit, I think there was a few good things about 2020, but please don't come at me. Look, we can all find something positive even in the darkest of times, correct? Yes, that's what we're all being optimists now. But okay, so it's 2021 and everybody is like thinking about their new resolutions. Do we have revolutions? I mean, I have revelations, but I don't know if I have revolutions. But my resolutions this year, Jesus, God, I can't speak. You would think that it's like day 5 after my New Year's Eve escapades. You would think that my brain would be functioning properly by now, but clearly it isn't. And we'll discuss my escapades in just a moment. However, let's talk resolutions first. So every year, I mean, I do this. I think a lot of people do this where you're like, I am going to make so many amazing resolutions and my life is going to be totally and utterly different. And then by week 2, you feel bad about yourself because you have broken all of them. So instead of me doing that this year, I decided that I'm just going to make some small changes that I feel may have some big impact across the board in my life. And the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to start putting me first. I know that sounds so selfish, especially because I'm a mom and I have kids and I'm a wife and I have a husband and all of that. But I've really been taking a lot of time to think about things. And for the last 20 years, I haven't put myself first. I put everybody else first, and then I'm miserable, and then I show up as a really awful version of myself. So we're going to flip the switch, or the script, I should say, and I'm going to show up this year for myself, and then I can come to the table as a complete version of me. That sounds kind of fun, right? And I don't know. I don't know what that means. That just means that I'm going to think about what I want sometimes instead of what everybody else wants. So I feel like that's a great resolution. The other thing I plan to do in 2021, and I totally invite all of you to try this, is I am going to start saying no a lot more. I know I do this, and I feel like a lot of us do this, is we're so quick to please everyone else around us that as soon as we're asked something, we're like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And then we end up making ourselves miserable, and we can't really do anything like with our full attention because we're spread so thin. So I'm going to see what the power of no feels like. Oh my God, this feels so like meta and very insightful and introspective and vibey, you know, all of those words. But truly, I'm going to show up for me and I'm going to say no. So those sound like good resolutions to me. But can we take a moment to talk New Year's Eve? I mean, listen, I hope everybody had an amazing holiday. I hope you got to see some of your relatives. I know this has been a really hard time for everyone. I get it. We had a very quiet, low-key day in my house. I think we played some games, had appetizers. I don't even think we had a full dinner until the night after, because we were just kind of hanging out. Jammies for the freaking win, right? Like, I love hanging out in jammies. So that was all good. But then came New Year's Eve, and my neighbors invited my husband and myself over. You know, we were very safe, all of the things. So please, please, please don't attack me on any social media platform. I promise we have abided by every law, bylaw, you know, whatever you want to say, every law. I can't think of the word, but we abided by every law known to man. And we went over there, and I think because we've been locked up for almost a year now, this is what happens when you lock people up, is my neighbor Courtney and I went freaking ballistic. And when I say ballistic, I mean like we drank 2 bottles of champagne. That's ballistic when you're 43, I'm just saying. And I don't really drink anymore. I know everyone is always like, oh, Christy drinks a ton. I don't. Like, I didn't drink at all during quarantine. I barely have a glass of wine now. So 2 bottles of champagne between 2 people was a lot for me. A lot. So much so that there may or may not have been some illness that night, and a cat may have been involved. I'm just saying, I can't get specific. I can't give you details because I'm trying to protect myself from my daughter, who is the owner of the cat. I don't want her to press any sort of cat charges against me. So let's just say it's now, a few days after New Year's Eve, and I'm still recovering. I don't know how I managed to live the life I did in college, because maybe my current situation is a result of my college days. Maybe my liver only was like, I can only process so much alcohol in a life, and you used all of yours up in the 90s, because I woke up the next day and I could literally hear snails crawling outside. Every noise sent shivers through my spine. I had to lay on the sofa. It was terrible. It was really terrible. And then day 2, I thought that I would be able to wake up and just be like, hey, we're normal again. I slept it off the day before. Nope. It felt like I got beat with a 2x4. So here's the life lesson, kids. Don't drink a bottle of champagne on your own, especially if you don't drink a lot, and especially if you're in your 40s. It doesn't hit like it did when you were in your 20s. So I paid the price, and now I kind of have an involuntary resolution for 2021, and that's no more champagne. So, yep, that was my New Year's Eve. All right, so we are in 2021, and I feel that today's episode is probably one of the most anticipated episodes, or the most anticipating thing that I've done on any of my social media platforms, because I mentioned it to a few people, and you guys went ballistic, because today's guest is an old-time, shall we say, nemesis of mine. Adversary, nemesis, however you want to phrase it, but it's definitely not someone that you would ever expect to be hanging out on my couch. And it's probably somebody that you're going to be shocked to hear has a different side to them. It's true. And let's see, what clues can I give you? Okay, she loves an insult. Oh God, that could be so many people though, right? Okay, she loves an insult. She thinks she's high fashion. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not judging. I'm saying she feels that way about herself. And she may or may not have an obsession with bunny rabbits and all things pink. Okay, if you are not a hardcore Dance Moms fan, I am talking about none other than Cathy Nesbitt Stein, the owner of our big rivals on Dance Moms, the Candy Apples Dance Studio. And when I DM'd Cathy and said, hey, do you want to come on my podcast? She immediately replied, and she was like, absolutely, let's talk disco. And I was excited because, I mean, nobody insults me like Cathy does. And here's a little behind the scenes. I know Cathy's insults were always like, ugh, but secretly, I thought a lot of them were funny. When she called me a booger, who calls a grown woman a booger on national television? I'll tell you who. It's Cathy. So I was really excited to do this interview. Plus, I'm not going to lie, I needed a Vivi update because I am a Vivi-Ann stan. I think Vivi could be my... Wow, sorry about that. That sounded like I was clearing my throat. God. I think Vivi could be my favorite cast member from Dance Moms simply because she did not give a fuck about anything. And I admired that in a 6-year-old. I really did. So without further ado, I am going to turn this over to the Cathy interview. But when this is over, I want you to hang tight because I have a really fun announcement at the end of today's podcast. So I'll see you on the other side. Well, here we are with the queen of the candy apples herself, Cathy Nesbitt Stein. Cathy, this interview has been a long time coming, so hi.
Hello, Disco Ball. How are you?
Oh, my God. I wondered how many times we were going to bring up some past insults. But you know what? I wear those as a badge of honor now. So Disco Ball, I'll take it because I've been called a lot worse. So what's up, Miss Candy Apple? How are you?
Oh, my goodness. I am doing quite well. And I have to tell you, I am so honored to be on your podcast. And, I constantly get the question that of all the moms, who are you friends with?
Mm-hmm.
Or who did you like the best?
Oh, I hope it's
Or
me.
who did you bond with? And yes, you guessed it. I always answer honestly that it's you.
Cathy,
and I know that people probably fall over in their tracks.
Honestly.
And like their jaws are dropping because we really didn't display that on camera.
No.
But I always say that you are the one. You did one thing for me, and that sealed the deal. Even though you came after me at one point, you did something for me that sealed the deal.
Thank you. I know exactly what it was. So thank you. I always get the question too, like, what's Cathy like? And I always say, I love Cathy. I do. You were always fun to fight with. It was like, it was fun. I knew if we were going against Candy Apples that week, well, first of all, like, I can take your insults and your whatever, because they're all in good fun. They're not vicious or malicious. And I always knew if we were dancing against Candy Apples, the dance teacher of who shall not be named was going to focus on you and leave me alone. So I was like,
I took the monkey off your back for that week. I never thought of it that way.
I was like, can we dance against Candy Apples every week? Because I love it. And everyone's always like, was that rivalry real? And I'm like, yes, because she would go insane if you guys would do better than us. So it was legit. So yeah.
Well, and sometimes we did better than you, but didn't get that honor.
I know.
So that's what was crappy for us. But you know, I do think it's important that the fans and the audience and the viewers and everybody and the listeners that they do get. And I try to convey this as much as I can on my social media, that when the cameras went down, you know, people were chatting with each other and they liked each other. And I know there are times that I walked out and said something to you and you were chuckling. I mean, like, I think one of the finest insults was when I said, you look like a booger today. Because
oh my God.
You had that green dress
I know.
on.
I actually burst out laughing.
Yeah, you guys busted up laughing because it wasn't vicious. But, you know, sometimes the viewing audience were children and they didn't get it. They were looking at it as, that was a big insult, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the time that I hurdled the trophy and you weren't there at that moment, I don't have any clue what went through my mind to do that. But I just grabbed that trophy and I threw it. And honest to God, it whizzed past that Macy kid's mom. I don't know what her first name is, but she's the one that wore the little bow and was the mortician.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know anybody's name other than like the OGs. And I don't mean that as an insult. I really don't.
No, it's just that there were so many that came and went. And I didn't film that often with them. But, you know, after I threw it, I was like, oh, my God, I could have totally poked her eye out with one of those wings from, you know, they always have those ladies with the big wings. And she came up to me and hugged me and said, I thought she was going to go after me and kick my butt. But she came up to me and hugged me afterwards and said, oh, my God, you are hysterical. And I was like, whew, I escaped that one.
Yeah, really. Oh, there were times when I would like kind of try to talk to people off the camera, you know, like, hey, are we okay? And they were not okay. So I was like, never mind. And I would leave. Yeah. I'm like, bye. This episode is brought to you by Magic Spoon. So growing up, I would have picked cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if given the option. Honestly, I probably still would eat cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because I love it that much. I would say cereal is probably in my top 2 favorite foods, honestly. But most cereal is full of sugar and junk that I really shouldn't be eating, but not Magic Spoon. It actually has 0 sugar, 11 grams of protein, and only 3 net grams of carbs in each serving. And with 4 flavors to choose from, cocoa, fruity, frosted, and blueberry, it honestly, I have amazing choices, and it seems like it's too good to be true because it's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. That's like my dream cereal. So if you go to magicspoon.com/couch, you can grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code COUCH at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason at all, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So that's magicspoon.com/couch and use the code COUCH to save $5 off. Yum. Okay, so I wasn't there during the grand trophy throw, and I also wasn't there, and I get this question a ton. I was not there the day that the other dance teacher walked into your bag. That's how I'm framing it. You know, when she walked into your bag accidentally, I think you might have hit her with your purse, but I'm just saying, like, in my mind, she walked into your bag. And so I wasn't there. I was actually suspended that week because it was the week after Chloe's hat fell off. So I was suspended, all the things, blah, blah, blah. So here is a question that some of the listeners had. They wanted to know, what bag did you hit her with, and was it designer?
Oh, my God. Actually, yes, it was.
Great. Amazing.
It was this darling little patent leather purse that I had got at this really cute boutique in my area. And it's from England. It's my flat in London. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if that is a thing anymore, but there was a brief moment where that was a hot bag.
Okay. But the bag was little, right? It was like, it wasn't like a big giant bag full of shit. It was like a little bag.
Yeah, it was pretty little. And it had like a embossed bee with the crown on it. And I was like, oh, this is so appropriate for me. This is the queen bee. So yeah. So when I slugged her, it was like, okay, first of all, I am like a 90-pound weakling, right? So
same. I'm only claiming 90.
Well, okay. I'm a 120-pound weakling at this moment, but back then I might've been a 90-pound
Fair.
weakling.
I mean, pandemic has really done us all dirty.
Yeah. Oh, yes. But you know, when I hit her, there was not a whole lot of power behind that. And I was in close proximity. So I didn't have a wind up either. It was just kind of like a retaliation. Like, oh my God, you just threw water on me.
Right. Here's my bag.
Okay. And I didn't mean to do this. And come on, there was, you know, what was at best in that purse was my wallet, maybe a mirror, my lipstick, and probably a bottle of aspirin because I go nowhere without that. That was probably what was in it. I mean, it wasn't like there was any hidden bricks or anything.
Right. And it was teeny. So, okay, wait. You said something, though, that completely just, I have to talk about. So your purse had a queen bee on it, but you know what my question's going to be, right?
No. What?
Where is the bee costume? Where is that damn bee? I cannot with that bee costume.
You know what? I wish so bad now that I would have started a bee collection for Vivi and that everything was bees. And I just never did. But the bee costume is safely in, I would imagine, the, wasn't it one of her, can you hear my dogs barking?
Yeah, it was Michelle. Michelle who owned the dance studio that Clara actually went to a few years ago. That was Michelle's bee costume as a child.
Okay. I'm sure that she has it back.
Oh,
because when Abby and I guest starred on the Rosie show.
Okay.
I gave it back to her then.
Did you?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I only told her. In fact, I can tell you what episode that was. We were in Chicago because that's where she filmed out of. And it was the episode where my kids did Ode to the Clown.
Okay.
And the one kid that danced for me fell and broke her foot on stage.
Yes, I remember
that whole?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Well, so that was oh gosh, what was her name? She did Dream on a Star against Chloe.
Taylor O'Lear.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was that episode when we were all in Chicago, and I gave it back to her.
I did not know
on the Rosie show. Mm-hmm. So I never took it to Goodwill. I only said that just to rattle her. But I recently just said on my Instagram Live that I am not going to buy that ugly costume cost $300. That thing was a ratty mess.
How do you know it cost $300? Did you get a bill?
Oh, that's what Melissa said. If you watch that clip over, she's like, their costume cost $300.
Get
and
out
it's like,
of here.
Well, honey, I hope that you didn't get your change slapping you in the face because that costume at best was $99.99.
And that might have been like in the 80s when it was originally made because it was old.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so funny. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. So somebody over there in Pittsburgh has that costume. The blood is off my hands.
Okay, so amazing. I feel, though, that you should get a beehive and become a beekeeper in the backyard. I do. I feel that would be a really fun hobby for you and Vivi. But I don't want to bring up Vivi yet because that's like that's my dessert. I'm going to get to Vivi in a minute. I have a few more questions. So, okay. Tell me, does Mike, your husband, still sell beef jerky?
No.
Wait, do you know about the beef jerky thing on our side? I mean, yes, we had the ad with the costume and Chloe and all of the things, which, you know, that's still something that I get asked about all the time. But every single time we would find out we were dancing against candy apples, Kelly would sit upstairs and say to somebody on the crew or a producer, "Can you ask Cathy to bring me beef jerky?" She literally said it every time because Kelly likes beef jerky. So she would get excited. I was excited that you were coming because Abby would fight with you, and Kelly was excited for beef jerky. So it was like everyone thought we hated candy apples, and we were like, no, like there's good things that come along with this. So he doesn't own beef jerky. Yeah.
No, he doesn't. In fact, he used to like when we would film, because the crew, you know, would be over at our studio, and they would definitely go over and
they'd buy beef jerky.
And the filming of Chloe, I mean, he was like dancing the jig, because I think it was probably about $250 to $300 worth of beef jerky that they bought to decorate her. So, you know, he thought that was a happy day for him.
Oh, God. And see, that day lives in infamy as something that Chloe wants to, like, jump off of a bridge. But I'm glad it's a good memory for Mike. That's so funny.
Oh, that was a fun day. That was a fun day.
It was funny, but Chloe hated it. So she was, 11? I don't even think she was 11. Whatever. I mean, it is no harm. And they only ever showed that episode once. So,
well, that episode actually got pulled,
right?
Because, you know, it's funny. There's so many things that I do remember, but there's so many things I don't remember. But I do remember that episode got pulled because that was the episode that you guys were dancing with those fans.
Mm-hmm.
And it had either something to do with that or the music. I don't remember which, but that's why they pulled it. And we were like, oh my God, go figure.
Because you guys did
where we can have some promotion on this damn jerky store, and, you know, it gets pulled.
Of course. Well, that's kind of like Murphy's Law, I feel like, with you. Everything was sort of, you know, like nothing worked in your favor. So
you're right.
No, it was Murphy's Law, and I saw that. When I'm waiting to pick Clara up from school, I'm usually scrolling on my phone, but I'm not on social media. I'm actually playing Best Fiends. I have played Best Fiends for literally years. I can remember playing Best Fiends on the back of the bus when we were traveling, flying, and I think at this point I'm probably on level 2500 plus, but I never need to worry about the fun ending because there's more than 5,000 levels and counting. And there's always another update, whether it's more levels or fun changes to the game, and they're always based on fan feedback, which I love. So once you download Best Fiends, you're not going to be able to put it down either. So just get used to telling yourself just one more level. I mean, sometimes I'm up at night saying to myself, just one more level because I'm trying to defeat the slugs. So download Best Fiends free today on the Apple App Store or Google Play, and that's friends without the R. Best Fiends. Okay, so here's a fun question, because I get asked this all the time. What was your favorite fight on the show? It doesn't necessarily have to be yours, but, like, I mean...
What was my favorite
your
fight?
Your favorite fight. I have a couple.
Oh, my God. Okay, give me a minute, because there's a few that ranked up there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I know. And it's hard sometimes to remember. And this is what I say all the time. And people, like, I don't think people realize this, but I personally have a really hard time remembering what happened in real life versus what they showed on television. Because in my mind, it's all one thing. And so I'll sit there and I'm like, did they show that? And they're like, yeah. Or they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. So I might have memories that the fans have never seen.
Well, and that's very true. And I'll tell you, that's what was very difficult too. It was hard to separate reality and real. Mm-hmm. It was very hard to do that. But let me get to my question first before maybe we go off on that tangent.
Okay.
I'm going to honestly say, oh my God, there were so many fights that happened. Geez.
So true.
I'm going to tell you the most vivid fight, and it was a crappy fight for us, but I think that it actually transpired into something good, was the big fight we had in Beverly Hills. That I don't really think, I mean, I don't even know if they showed that much of it or what, but to this day, when you get sick to your stomach and your stomach goes round and round, and sometimes you keep saying something over and over and over in your head. Does that happen to you? Okay.
All the time.
What happens to me is clean Chloe's clock. Clean Chloe's clock goes around in my brain. So I would have to say that was probably, if I had to 1 through 10, that would probably be number 1. I don't know if it was my favorite, although I think that what happened with that fight drew us even closer as being adversaries to each other.
I think that was Nationals, right? That was Nationals season 2.
Yes, it was Nationals.
Totally.
I would have to say, I thought, and I don't even think that they showed this either, and I thought that it was one of my finest lines.
That was my next question, so great.
Well, I don't even know if you know about this or not, because I honestly, I didn't watch the show. Okay. I lived it, so I didn't watch it.
Yep.
So I therefore don't know if this was shown or not, but it was the episode of season 3. The boys were doing the bicycle dance, which I thought on Anthony's end was brilliantly choreographed. And we were in Pittsburgh. I had because I always had an entourage come with me because I didn't like to travel by myself.
Right.
So I actually had my good friend who was from the Pittsburgh area and her daughter with me. And we were filming at a studio that was not in the area, but in the area.
Okay.
And Abby had made some big deal that no other dance studio in the area.
I remember. I know exactly what studio this is. It's in Murraysville. I know exactly what went. Yep.
Okay. Well, she was there. We were there late filming and rehearsing, and she was literally in the bushes.
Stop it.
Looking. Oh yes. Looking around. She finally bust in. Okay. And here's my friend sitting. My friend's kind of off on the sideline sitting, and she's witnessing all of this. And so I was playing up even more for Annette because I wanted to give Annette, her money's worth. So Abby comes busting through, and she's got this paper in her face, and she's going to sue me because I'm on somebody's premises that she has said can't be filmed on the show. And, they kept going to the dance studio sign and taking footage of that. And I took the paper, snatched the paper from her hand and looked at it, read it, saw where she said she was suing me. And I threw it at her and it hit her right in the face. And I said, "This is as fake as the plastic jewelry that you wear."
Oh my God.
I thought that was brilliant. I thought that, oh my God, what a line I just delivered. This is amazing. And I have no idea if it ever got on or not.
I don't know. I would watch the shows once when they aired, only because I needed to know how much hate I was getting on social media the next day. So I would watch the show, but I don't remember that line. But I will say that it would have dovetailed very nicely with a line that I delivered about storing her jewelry in a shoebox. I said, red plastic rhinestone crap, blue plastic rhinestone crap. So, I mean, look, anytime you can have somebody corroborate your insult, it's always a bonus. So I would have appreciated that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't think that ever aired. I don't know. So we'll have to do some digging. I'm sure there is a Dance Mom fan out there who will tell us if that aired.
Yes.
Of course. And so that leads me to another question. So when you did come to Pittsburgh, did you ride a bus?
When I came to Pittsburgh,
to film?
Oh, no.
You drove?
Yeah,
well,
I would
drive. Thank God, because we know you don't like buses.
Oh, no, I hate buses.
I know, I've heard.
Hate buses. Yes, I can't stand buses. So, no, we would drive on our own. And, a lot of times I would drive to wherever the filming was happening. I didn't always ride that bus with you guys because I would go home.
Yeah.
Sometimes because, like I just said to somebody recently, I always get, how come you're not as famous as those other moms? I always get that.
Oh, really?
No, yeah, I get that all the time.
Huh.
And, I don't have 1 million followers on Instagram because for the longest time I was Poodle Toes and not Cathy. So people had a difficult time finding me. And, I didn't have time to work on being famous because I was literally going home to a hotel and having to go out to eat. And, and then I would try to get home. I would beg to please let me get home by 6 because I didn't want to drive home in the dark. And so, we would leave on Tuesday morning, and then sometimes I would go home on Thursday night to regroup for the weekend.
Yep.
So it was difficult because you guys were all going home, to your nice, cozy homes. And you could, even though it was still stressful and there was a lot of crap going on, but you at least were in your familiar surroundings.
Yeah, you were. How far are you from Pittsburgh? Is it 4 hours?
No, it's 2. 2 hours.
Is it 2? I thought it was further.
Yeah,
than that.
It's only 2.
Okay. Well, so you still have Candy Apples, right? You still own the studio? Yes. How's it doing in the light of the last crazy year? I mean, are you hanging in there as a business owner? Well,
yeah, we are hanging in there. Honestly, it's been rough, I will say, because you've got as the world knows right now, you've got several different pockets of people. You've got the people who are scared to death of COVID. You've got the people who think that it's a joke. So you've got these 2 different camps of people. And so we lost a lot of students and they called and said, we'll be back when things are better. But right now, Dad doesn't want little Betty to come to dance class because he's nervous and all of that kind of stuff. And then, of course, we've got the people that we're not having our kid wear a mask. Our kid isn't going to dance with a mask on.
Right.
So it's been tough because, first of all, you have a difficult time pleasing everybody anyhow. And so this is even making it worse. But for my studio, and I'm the only one in the area, I didn't open. We shut down in March, and our governor opened up dance studios, and why we got lumped in with gyms is beyond me, but we got lumped in under gyms. So every guideline that a gym follows is what we have to follow, but we were allowed to open back up in June, and I did not.
Okay.
I did not open up. And now I was active. I mean, we were giving Zoom classes online.
I was just going to ask, were you doing things actively online?
Yeah, we definitely did Zoom classes. And we, right when it first hit, I think all of us thought when this first happened, oh, wow, this is so awesome. We're going to have about 6 weeks that we can reset our life and we can clean out our closets and we can get all our designer handbags in order alphabetically. And, I was all happy go doing that, running around, getting things all organized.
You could rearrange your bunny collection, all of it.
I did. I rearranged my bunny collection. I got everything so spick and clean. And I was thinking, oh, this is so nice. We got to reset. Well, then when it kept droning on, it was like, okay, when is this going to stop? But so at first we engaged the kids with contests, and we have a local dance studio in the area that allowed us to give prizes from them. Then we did Zoom. Then come August, now we're like, ready for this to be over. We took the kids outside and did privates. And then the day after Labor Day, I opened up, whereas all the other dance studios were open because, they were all crying that they needed money, this, that, and the other. But I had huge plexiglass, like a mile long, that hangs from the ceiling, and it goes the length of the rooms, and the teacher dances behind the plexiglass, and then the kids are all sectioned off.
Okay.
And then they wear masks. But, just like this week, this was supposed to be our last week before holiday break, and one of my teacher's stepdad, who she lives with, has COVID, so she's quarantining.
Got it.
And my mommy and me teacher was tested on Monday, and if she has it, then my other teacher who was with her is. So we said, all right, well, we'll just shut down and we'll be remote this week.
Okay.
Because we're off for 2 weeks the next 2 weeks anyhow.
Right.
So hopefully back in January we'll be back up. I mean, we are planning a recital, but it's not to the magnitude that. I mean, our recitals have always been in that very beautiful theater that you guys were at. You guys filmed at the Palace, and with backdrops and, 1,500 people coming. And so we're down to looking at our cultural center and possibly having 300 people on a makeshift stage. Because it's just, they are open, but they're only open for 250 people. And that's a whole heck of a lot of tickets that we don't get to sell.
Sure.
So, that's where we're at. But Candy Apples is still chugging along.
Okay.
And, we we're trying to get by like everybody else.
Well, I saw something online that I think deserves a shout out because it was kind of incredible. I did not know that you had Candy Apples merch, Cathy.
I do.
I was dying when I was looking at like the vintage logo. That's a really cute, like fun idea to show the old vintage logo because I mean, come on. Like it's hilarious. It's cute and I'm sure people like it, but everyone always asks me where the name Candy Apples came from and I have no idea.
Oh, that's funny because I was on Jess's show.
Okay.
And she had the same question for me. So it's a little bit lengthy of a story, but I'll give you the unabridged version. I took dance. I had a partner in the very beginning, and both my partner and I had studied off of a lady for years that her name was Margaret Appel.
Okay.
So we thought that when we opened up our studio, we would give her props that she was our teacher, and we would do like a takeoff of her name. And so Maggie Apples was developed. And so how cute. I mean, we had that. And in the beginning, the vintage that you see on the T-shirts is actually our second vintage, because the first vintage was the little girl was sitting on the apple.
Okay.
And after we had her for a couple years, I said to the art director, I think it's time she gets up off her ass and shakes her apples. Let's have her standing. So,
well, I don't know. I've seen some dance teachers sit a very long time.
Oh, yes, me too.
Yeah, but you still wanted her to shake her apples.
Yeah, but anyhow, so that's when the standing little girl came. But anyhow, so Maggie Apples is what the name was supposed to be. And I thought, because I'm always like, I'm always very respectful. And I try to be very copacetic with things. So here I am looking at my partner saying, okay, we're going to call, because this lady has since passed away. Mm-hmm. We're going to call her daughter. We're going to present this to her. We're going to make sure that it's to her liking. And, I'm going to tell her, we're going to offer scholarships in her mom's name. And this is awesome. The community is going to have Miss Margaret's legacy live on. So I called her, and my mom said that this was one of the very few times that she ever saw my mouth drop and my face go white. I presented the whole idea to the daughter, mm-hmm. and about 5 minutes later, the husband calls back and says, this is a travesty. You are totally making fun of her mother's name. She is on the couch fanning herself. She has to take aspirins now for dinner. And if this pursues, we're going to sue.
Oh my God.
Like, oh my God. That's what I was like. Oh my God. And I was like, I was flabbergasted. And I was just like, okay, and hung up. Well, 5 minutes later, I'm sitting in John's bar with my attorney, who I had a love interest in at the time. And my partner and I are like, oh my God, what are we going to do here? And so it all came down to Dandy Apples, because we didn't want to change the apples. We loved the logo.
Okay.
Dandy Apples or Candy Apples. And it was like a coin toss. Okay, Candy Apples it is.
Oh, wow. Well, so here's something that you started off with good intentions. It backfired. That sucks.
Yes.
I feel like that's the way
there you go. Isn't that the story of my life?
There's your Murphy's Law. Okay, well, that's actually kind of a cute story, because I was always like, what the hell? Why are candy apples? But I like that. I mean, and I think if she would have still been alive, I feel like she would have been flattered, not insulted.
I definitely think that she would have taken it in a completely different light than her daughter did. I honestly think that they felt, a chance to maybe make money. Let's pursue these people for slander.
Of course.
Yeah, I honestly think that that's what went through their head. So, and it's unfortunate, because both my partner and I were so when Miss Margaret touched the top of your head, it was like God came down and touched your head. So we had the utmost of respect for her. We would have never done anything that would have defaced her.
Look, if you're starting a business, the last thing you're going to do is make your whole business like focused around a mockery. Like, that's ridiculous.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's dumb. Okay, Cathy, it is now time for the thing that I have been dying to talk about, that all of the listeners have been just so anticipating, and I can't wait to hear everything about Vivi.
Oh,
tell me about.
I love that subject.
Vivi, I'm sure. Okay, so here's a little intel. I've always said that Vivi is my favorite character from Dance Moms because she was so like, didn't care. Like her dry, just whatever was always my favorite. It was amazing. It really was. And then I would talk to her, you know, at lunch or this or that. And she was exactly the same way. Just like pan, dead face, like, no, I don't like that.
Yep.
I would scream inside because she just made me laugh. And how old was she when the show started? 5?
Oh my God, she was 6.
Okay, so she was 6.
Yeah, she was 6. Yeah.
So is she 15 or 16 now?
She just turned 16 on 9/11.
Oh, wow. So is she driving?
No, she's not driving.
All right.
She's not driving. And honestly, Grandma has this awesome little white car that she doesn't drive.
Okay.
And is brand spanking new. And she went ahead and purchased it because that's for Vivi when Vivi decides to drive. But, you know, I never drove until I was 18. And
God, I couldn't wait to drive. I was like, give me my license.
See, I had all my friends and my boyfriends to cart me around. So I didn't see any need to do that. And I actually got my driver's license when I was 18. I was going into college, and I, not to take the thunder away from Vivi, I'll tell you this real quick and then we can get back to her. But I drove to college, and like the second or third day I was driving my mom's car, I backed into another car and busted the light in the back of her car. And I was like, okay, no more. I'm not doing this. So I would find a ride to college every day. And then pretty soon I started dating some kid that went there. And so he was my transportation. Well, he and I actually dated for a long time. And when we broke up, I was like, oh my God, now I don't have any girlfriends. Now I don't have a boyfriend, and I don't have a car.
Okay. So Cathy, you have mentioned about 17 boyfriends in the length of this conversation. So you have a lurid past.
Many. I had so many boyfriends. I would go through the annual or the yearbook, as they call it now. I would go through the yearbook, and I would get with my friends, and I would go, okay, I'm going to like him this week, so tell him.
Right.
And then they would go and tell him, and then he'd be like, oh, I'm in love with you. Can I call you? And then the very first thing that they did wrong, like I literally broke up with a guy because he got his hair cut.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you sound like my daughter. Chloe, she's so mean to boys, and I'm like, Chloe. And she's like, well, he spelled this wrong.
And that's totally fun. I would never, ever, I didn't resent any of that. But anyhow, so yes, I had to have I had to have wheels. And so I went out and bought my first car. But, Vivi, she has confided more to Grandma than she has me. And she has said she's not interested in driving yet. And it could be because, I drive everywhere and I'm screaming and blowing the horn and, jackass and all of that kind of stuff. She might be fearful. I might be traumatizing her.
You probably are traumatizing her. I'm just guessing. But it's also that generation, and I hate to be like it's that generation, but seriously, there's a lot of teenagers that don't drive right away.
Yeah, what I would like to think of it as is that she's intelligent and she's seeing what goes on the road, and she has made this comment to my mom before that she wants to make sure that she's prepared, that she knows how to respond in a situation. So if that's truly what's going on in her little brain, then that's very admirable on my end. I think that she's a pretty smart cookie to think that she doesn't have to do. And, it's so bizarre because, I used to drive around with my friends and stuff like that, but I don't really think kids do that anymore. I know on a Friday night we were hitting parties.
Sure.
And I said to Vivi, do any of the kids at school have parties after the games? And she's like, what? No, everybody goes home to their moms. And, it's probably because of the drinking and driving thing. And, that's instilled in those kids. So Vivi doesn't find the need to have wheels, I guess, at this moment.
Okay, but she is 16. So is she a sophomore or junior?
She is a sophomore.
Okay, so she's got 2 more years. Oh, Cathy, what are you going to do when Vivi leaves you?
I don't know.
It's going to be very traumatizing. It's hard.
I know. Whatever school she goes to, that's where I'm going to move.
I would assume. So she does want to go to college.
And I keep saying to her, I think they have really great schools down in Florida.
Right.
And,
Let's go south.
Well, and Dad keeps looking at really cool houses that we could buy down in Florida. So, I think that's a good route to go. But she says that she likes to do so many things. She doesn't know what she wants to be.
Well, right.
And I think that kids at 16, I mean, it's difficult to decide what you want to be.
I still don't know what I want to be.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't grown up yet. So, what am I going to be when I grow up? I have no idea.
Exactly. So, all right. I know that Vivi still taps. I've seen her tap. She's great. Like, she's a very great tapper. What other things does she do? Is she in any other activities? Is she playing softball? Have you slit your wrist yet? Like, what's up?
No, Vivi has never attempted. Hold on for 1 minute, Christy. I want to decline this call.
Okay.
It's beeping in on me. Okay. She played volleyball when she was like in fifth or sixth grade, and she was really quite good at it. Did you
show up in like little dresses and high heels and handbags as like the volleyball mom?
I'm not that kind of mom.
Okay.
I am not that. There is a mom like that at school, but I am not that kind of mom. No, I always show up with cool jeans and cool boots and cool fur coats. That's more me.
Right. Oh, so you and Jill are on the same page.
Yeah. Oh, there is no page that Jill and I are on. No page at all. But anyhow.
So there's no love lost there.
No. So she played volleyball like momentarily. I think she got to one game and then had a mishap. But she is, Vivi's a cheerleader.
Okay.
And
that's fun.
She's a cute, well, you were a cheerleader, right?
I was a cheerleader all through college.
I was too. So she's a really cute cheerleader and a good one. But their games have kind of been hit or miss. They did have a football season, but she's yet to be able to cheer a basketball game, which I really love basketball games. But,
I do too. That was always so fun to cheer at. So, maybe she'll get there. Well, obviously the question I got from a lot of the listeners is, has she recovered from her ring cut?
This is so funny because I have, I don't know if you're on Cameo, but I'm on Cameo.
Mm-hmm, I am.
And doing well with it. I'm shocked that people want messages from me, but there are those people out there in the world that do.
Sure.
But I've got one that's lagging, and I'm not quite sure what to do about it. Vivi has only made like maybe one appearance on my Cameo, and lots of people ask for her.
Sure.
But she's not into that yet. She says she just likes being normal Vivi that's popular at school and doesn't want that over her head. Yeah. But anyhow, this kid has asked me to reenact this. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can reenact it with my dog. I don't know. But I've been pushing that Cameo to the back every time because it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But yes, Vivi has recuperated. And
wonderful.
It was never, debilitating to her. I think that she was able to continue to dance her way.
Overcame it, in the face of adversity. Vivi reigns supreme. I mean, that's very admirable. So,
and go ahead.
No, I was going to ask another question because Vivi was the youngest person when Dance Mom started. She was a little bit younger than Mackenzie. And growing up, I get this question a ton about Chloe, but our girls were a little bit older. Does she get it? Like, does she get how big that show was and that she's Vivi? I mean, I know you said she doesn't care. She just wants to be Vivi at school, but does she get it? Because I'll see waves where Chloe's like, oh, I didn't really realize. And wow, that's weird to think about, because they almost don't get it. But then, you're at school when Chloe went to college, people were like filming her walking on campus and it was a big deal, all that kind of stuff. But does Vivi ever sit there and she was like, huh?
I don't know whether that thought goes through her mind. I know that there have been a couple things that have transpired that I get a chuckle out of. And one of them is, I always boasted this, that Vivi went to private school.
Right.
And she went from preschool level 1 all the way through 8th grade. And she now goes to a private school, private high school. But in school, when she was probably like maybe 4th or 5th grade, the teacher announced that they had to research online that they were going to write about somebody famous.
Okay.
And
that's funny.
Yeah, immediately all the little kids were like, Vivi! And the teacher was like, no, we're not going to use Vivi as our famous person. I think that I think that Vivi is very well aware of it.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you know, if you just type in Vivi Stein, as well as all of the girls, I mean, a mass of hoo-ha comes up. So I think
that's exactly right. A mass of hoo-ha. There's a lot of shit on there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, she's aware of that. She's not stupid. She's searched the web. She's looked at things. She knows that she's out there. I think that she herself feels that she wants to have people like her for her. Mm-hmm. And she's extremely popular at school. I mean, there's lots of kids that like her. And maybe because she's Vivi from Dance Moms, that may have initiated their interest in her. But I think that
that would have dropped off very quickly if they didn't like Vivi. Like, that's all.
Exactly.
Like, that's
exactly.
What, yeah.
So I think that she thinks that, you know, we were told one time by a tap teacher in New York, you should always introduce yourself that, hello, I'm Vivi from Dance Moms, and doors will open for you. I don't think that Vivi wants to use that as her crutch.
You know what, honestly, I don't know if any of the girls do, because I know I can speak from some of the, like, the older girls. They're always like, okay, yes, I'm grateful for Dance Moms, but I don't want to be Chloe from Dance Moms or Nia from Dance Moms. Like, they've all sort of, I don't want to say moved past it, because I do think everybody is grateful for the doors that have opened, but I get it. I totally get it. Like, look, I'm tired of being Chloe's mom, you know? I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Now, see, for me, then this may sound stupid, but for me, you know, again, I didn't have time to work on being famous.
Yep.
I did none of the stuff that they asked me to do. You know, I didn't put together any type of social media plan or anything. And now that it may be too late, I'm having fun with it because I have a friend who's kind of like the social media manager. I mean, I didn't even know what the heck Cameo was. And he's like, oh, we're going to put you on Cameo. And I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that something you wear around your neck? Yeah. And he was like, no.
I think that's a brooch, like a Cameo brooch.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, no, you make money. And so for me, I don't mind. But see, you had a lot more popularity than I did. So I don't mind being Cathy from Dance Moms, because it is leading me down some paths that I didn't explore.
Right.
You know, I had somebody recently say to me, are you coming to Australia? And I'm like, no, I don't like to fly that well. So that would never happen. And I know, you know, you guys all went to, well, you went to Australia, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been to Australia 3 times or so.
Yeah. See, I mean, you guys did all of that kind of stuff, and you did the tours and all of that kind of stuff. And first of all, I don't think I was very smart in how to even go about it. And, you know, you guys were all together.
Yeah, it's easier when it's...
figure it out together as a group.
Of course. Yeah, because you were sort of on the outs. But I always remind people when we're talking, and I totally get all of the things you're saying, but I remind people all the time when they talk about Dance Moms, and they're like the OGs and this and that. I'm always like, Cathy was an OG. Like, she was a dance mom before she was Candy Apple Cathy. And I think people are always like, oh, yeah, you know, and I think that during the pandemic, like when we were in hardcore lockdown, a lot of people went back and rewatched the earlier. Well, I don't even know if they watched the earlier episodes as much as they just rewatched the show. And I think that would have been a great, or it probably was a great opportunity. You probably had a lot new followers because everyone was like, yes. Oh my God, the show. So it's weird how that happened, because I would look online and I'm like, why do I have so many new people here? Yeah. And it was because they were all watching Dance Moms.
I was seeing that on Instagram. Like, I would go to bed and I would have like 100 new followers when I would wake up in the morning. And I was like, whoa. And I agree with you, because a lot of people now are reaching out to me and saying that, you know, they watched it, they binge watched it while they have been in lockdown. And what I find interesting is, you know, and you might see this also, but in the beginning, oh my God, I used to be embarrassed to walk out and show my face because of all the hate. Now it's like, you know, now it's like, oh, you were so kind to your kids and the other lady wasn't. And, you showed such nurturing to your team and, you really weren't that nasty.
Well, perceptions have changed over the years, for sure. Like, as people have gone back and watched and, like, the world has changed. Like, I would never get away with 85% of the crap I said on television now. All the fat shaming and this and that. People would be like, you're canceled. But it was a different time. And, like, that's a big regret I have. I wish I had never done that because it's a low blow. And I try to be encouraging to young people. And I know with social media, body image is such an important thing. I get all of it and I can't change it. And, like, every time it surfaces, I'm like, I wish I hadn't done it. But I've learned from it. So is there anything that you regret from the show? Like, that's probably I have a few regrets, but that's like an overarching umbrella that I'm like, I wish I hadn't done that. You don't have to. I mean, I honestly am just asking out of curiosity. There's not a right or wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if I had any regrets in the way that I behaved because I feel like a lot of the behavior was provoked and prodded, and I feel that
accurate.
Most of it was poked and prodded. I would have to probably agree with you that talking constantly about Abby's weight was probably something that shouldn't have happened because, I'm sure that there were a lot of people that were watching the show and were struggling with their weight for various reasons. And to hear some, little lady constantly saying about being fat, but we all took advantage of that with her.
100%.
And we all took advantage of that with her. And so you're right. I mean, I see it with a dance studio every 10 years, every decade, there's a new trend, there's a new mindset, there's a new, that goes on. And so therefore, yes, you are correct. If we would step onto the screen today,
oh my God,
and do that, we would be annihilated because you don't do that. And, that would have to probably be my regret also because we all took advantage of that with her. But then, she took advantage of physical issues on her end. Mm-hmm. So, when you do a tit for tat, then you start to think, wow, she might have deserved it. But yeah, I mean, to your viewing public who might have been struggling with those issues, it wasn't fair to them. And I get that. So I do get that now. And you do have to have a kinder thought process when it comes to physicality.
I agree completely. Okay, so I'm going to ask you I'll have one more question, but I have one more Vivi question I need to ask. Is Vivi dating? And have you offered to chaperone? Because I can imagine that you would be like in the front of the buggy, like hands on front, hands on your laps, boys and girls. Like I just envision like a very, old fashioned 1800s where you like light the candle and you say, when it burns down to here, then you must leave.
No, I am totally not like that. I'm a cool mom. Currently, I don't think she has a boyfriend. She had last year a kid who's absolutely darling.
Okay, good. You liked him.
Oh, he's darling. And his mom is so super cute. She walks around in mud with Louboutins on. But anyhow, he was darling. And he went to, Vivi goes to a school called St. Thomas Aquinas. And then there's another private Catholic school that is called Central Catholic. And
we have a Central Catholic as well. I dated a Central boy in high school.
Okay, well, he went to Central, and they were going to go to the homecoming together. And, he came over to Vivi's birthday party. Now, this was 2 years ago. This is when she was a freshman, and did the whole sign about, all of this.
Yep.
I went to this place that everybody goes and gets their dresses not everybody. I mean, lots of people go to the department stores, but this place is like one dress and that's it. Nobody sees you coming and going. She had this beautiful rose gold dress. So they went to the homecoming. She liked Aaron for a couple weeks. They went to some movies and, I didn't go along. I took her to the movie theater.
All right, Cathy, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So, and Aaron's been over to our house. And, so they were supposed to go to her homecoming, his homecoming. Well, they went to her homecoming and they showed up at the dance late, and Mike and I went out to dinner, and about maybe a half an hour into us dropping her off, I find out that he and her have left and they're at the movie theater watching The Joker. And I'm like, oh my God, Vivi. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, Vivi, I didn't spend $500 on a dress and shoes and jewelry
for you to go sit in the movie theater.
Okay. So then the following week was his homecoming, and they kind of broke up, and he took another girl. Okay. So now this is a really funny story. Okay. So after that happened, Vivi starts dating this really cute boy at school who's a football player, and he gets her this real cute necklace for Christmas, and I'm all in armor because Evan is darling. Well, the turnabout dance is coming up in February. So, of course, Vivi asks Evan, they're dating, they like each other, and she's got another great dress. She's got, you know how I always was about gold. She's got this cream colored and gold dress that's got gold roses on it. And the Thursday night, we're at the dance studio. And now she hasn't really talked to the other boy because she's dating Evan. So Thursday night, we're at the dance studio. She gets in the car and she is super glum. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, oh my God, Mom, Evan cannot take me to the dance. And I'm like, what? And she's like, no, he can't take me. He's grounded. I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. I go, you give me his mom's phone number.
Oh.
So I called his mom at work the next day. Oh, she was such a condescending witch to me. And I was like, okay. So, I'm like, this is, I've got a really broken-hearted little girl on my hands. What can we do? She's like, nothing. He's not going. Now, she's got a little girl, and I'm thinking, oh, my God. When I say this to her and she responds, I'm thinking, bipolar much? So I'm like, okay, what happens when your daughter is in high school and the boy that she's supposed to be going with does this to her? Mm-hmm. And she goes, well, I would be furious. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Right. And I'm furious, too.
Yeah, exactly. So she says to me, he's not going. He has a lesson to learn and he's not going. So I'm like, oh, my God. So Vivi comes to me then the next morning and she says, Mom, Aaron, which is the first boy, Aaron says that he wants to take me to the dance. I'm like, perfect. So I call his mom and I'm like, hey, Amy, I guess we're doing this again. And yeah, so Vivi goes to the dance with Aaron. So both dances were with Aaron. Now, take the stage. There's another kid who his sister takes at the dance studio, which my heart is all aflutter over. And I just think that he's darling. And Vivi has done...
There's nothing to turn a teenage girl off faster from a guy than her mother's heart being all aflutter.
I try not to talk about it, but they've been out together. In fact, they were supposed to go, like they've been to the park together, and they were going to have like a makeshift homecoming this year.
Okay.
Well, lo and behold, Vivi buys tickets and asks Spencer, and Spencer's thrilled to death and wants to go. Well, then they had a game that night. And so because the homecoming was being put on by some random mom because the school didn't have one.
Yeah.
So, no schools did. So that got blown under the water. Well, then they've been trying to get together, and a couple weeks ago they were going to go for coffee. Vivi is just like this avid coffee drinker. They were going to go for coffee.
It's a very trendy thing right now. I mean, please.
Yes,
should have. Exactly. I wish I had invested in Starbucks 20 years ago, for God's sakes.
I know, right? Well, they were going to go for coffee, and then they were going to go through one of our parks has lights. They were going to get all lit. Well, he was supposed to be over at the house like around 5:00 to pick her up. And I was like, okay, so you're going on a date now in the dark? She's like, Mom, Spencer drives like very, very safely. And I'm like, all right. So at 5:00 he calls and he's like, I just got word from my school that I have to quarantine. So I'm like the doubting Thomas. And I'm all fretful because, I can tell she's kind of teary-eyed. She really wants to go. She's upset. And I'm like, Vivi, do you think he's just blowing you off? No, Mom, I believe him. Well, then his mom
See, I don't
wrote to
believe
me.
any of them. I'm always like, this is a lie.
I know, right? That's how I am. I'm like, okay, Vivi, something's up. So the mom wrote to me like about an hour later and said, hey, we just got word that Spencer has to quarantine. What does, Kira will not be able to be at competition practice on Monday. And I'm like, oh, shoo, he wasn't lying. It's true. So I was like doing the happy dance. Okay. Then after that, her tap partner, she's very, very fond of her tap partner also. And he actually graduated last year, but they exchanged gifts. They had a little date. I mean, he's come over to the house and brought gifts. And of course, he sees her at dance. So and I like
Vivi's keeping her options open. I appreciate a girl who doesn't commit.
Yes. I like these boys because I feel, and then there was the boy. I forgot about him. At the beginning of the school year, she was all in love with this kid. First day, he's new at the school. He's a soccer player. And I guess that he said to her, man, are you pretty? Well, from there, she was running to the soccer game. This is really funny. She was running to the soccer game to watch him meet his family, the whole 9 yards. Oh, yeah. She's got it posted on her Instagram. My soccer guy, all of this stuff.
Vivi.
Next day, I know, right? The next day, she's altered her picture, and it doesn't say my love or something like that. It just says soccer, soccer, soccer. And I'm like, Vivi, what's up? And she goes, I can't stand him. And I'm like,
oh,
why?
My, she's fickle.
She goes, he told me that I wasn't allowed to keep in touch with Aaron, Spencer, or Seth on the phone. And she goes, and he named all three of them and sent me pictures.
Good for Vivi. I wouldn't take that shit either. I'd be like, nope.
I said to her, well, I'm so happy that you just kind of gave him the screws because, you shouldn't be told that you shouldn't be friends with those three boys that you're fond of.
Yeah, whatever. That's controlling. That's a problem down the line, just so we're all clear.
So that's her love story in a nutshell.
Vivi's quite the little catch, huh? I love that for her. I do. I mean, there's nothing better than being 16 and having options, and you have the dances and you get all a flutter, and it's fun. Like that's what high school is supposed to be. So
yes, I agree.
You tell Vivi I said hello, and let her know that I'm still Team Vivi.
I will let her know.
All right, Cathy. So what else do you have going on in your life?
Well, right now what's happening is, like I said, kind of led up to this, that I am just now starting to really dabble more in the social media. I had a Facebook page that was like the celebrity Facebook page that's got the little check mark. I've had that for a while, and I've wanted to shut it down for so long because I never liked anything that was nasty that was written on it. Well, I've kind of rebooted that.
Okay.
And I have been getting a lot of positive feedback. I just got verified on Instagram.
I did see the blue check mark. I was very excited for you.
That was extremely exciting because I think that took a while. And, I would look at people that had like maybe 10,000 viewers or 10,000 followers, and they'd have a check mark. And it was like, what's up with that? I mean, I at least have more than 10,000. So I was very happy about that. I do have like this big passion right now. I've always loved to decorate and been very seasonal. I think everybody that worked with me on Dance Moms recognized that. And so I've got an Instagram that is called Home at Brookstone. And I am like smitten with this lady called Turtle Creek. And she does like stories every day. I mean, she's like my friend. I hop on in the morning. I want to see what the Turtle Creek lady's doing. And she lives in this huge castle practically in Texas.
Okay. Well, because I used to live in a little teeny apartment in a place called Turtle Creek that wasn't very nice. But I'm thinking that this is a little different.
Oh, yes. I think the reason why it's called Turtle Creek is they've literally got a moat around their
castle.
House.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect somebody who has a moat. I wish I had a moat and a turret.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And she is over the top with decorating. And so I am trying to push. Right now I'm sitting at 245 followers. And every day I go on to see, did I get just one? But it's fun. I am, it's kind of like it's for me personally. I like to share all of my decorating. And I do feel like, so many people have said, you got to get on YouTube. I do have my show that I'm doing on Sunday night, and I have this spectacular surprise guest that's going to be joining me this Sunday.
Oh, so, okay. It's not me. Don't anybody get excited.
So listen, if any of your followers are following you, they might want to pop on and see who it is. And I think that I've gotten some good reviews on that show. And, it started out that it's just kind of catching up with me. And then I have somebody that is a guest, and they kind of come in and half screen with me because I do it by my phone. And last week I didn't really have anybody lined up because I wanted this week to be like the big surprise for the end of the year. And so I went on and I patched in some of my viewers, and they had a great time. I had one person rap Nicki Minaj for me, which was funny because I thought that they said, "Do you like Mickey Mouse?" And I was like, "Yeah, I love Mickey Mouse." And here they were saying Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj, Cathy.
So Vivi got the biggest. Oh my God, Vivi was laughing hysterically over that when she was watching it. So yeah, but it's all in good fun. I like to tell on my show. I like to just give a little tidbit about me that you didn't know. You didn't know from watching the show or even, so that's kind of fun. And so I'm excited for this coming week because I think that it'll be another fun interview with this person. I have a lot of respect for this person, and we're gonna go head to head with Dance Mom Comments.
Oh God. Okay. That'll be so fun. I will make sure that I tune in because I want to hear the Dance Mom Comments. I do. It's always so fun to listen from the other side. I'm like, don't talk about me. Well, Cathy, it was really fun to catch up with you and see, look, even if you fight with somebody for years on television, we can all move past it and we can all just get along. Yep.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much again for coming. And make sure you follow Cathy on Instagram. It's at official Cathy Nesbitt Stein. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And check out her show on Sunday nights. Is there a certain time that you do your show, or does it vary?
It's usually at 8:00.
Okay.
And it's about a half an hour show.
Well, that's fun. Okay. So check that out on Sundays at 8. That's always a good, fun thing to do on a Sunday evening. And I mean, good luck with everything else you're doing.
Well, we'll have to catch up more because this has been fun.
All right, Cathy. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye. Okay. I have to admit, that was a lot of fun. I was a little nervous to interview Cathy because you never know what she's going to say, but I thought that was a really fun time, and I hope it gave you a little bit of insight. I think we had a mutual respect for each other. I really do. And I always appreciated that Cathy came to play. And if you could come at me and not take it too seriously, you were probably one of my favorite cast members because there was always so much ugliness. So I appreciated somebody who I could have a little bit of fun with. And believe it or not, I know I've probably dashed a lot of your Dance Mom dreams, but Cathy was a person that was fun to argue with. She really was. So all right. I hope you loved that. And okay, so we're going to get to my favorite part of Christy's Couch. And then at the end, I have a special announcement to make. So one other thing I just wanted to mention. Make sure you guys follow Cathy on Instagram. It's Cathy Nesbitt Stein Official. And I mean, what she was saying about social media, she didn't foster that social media growth like the rest of us. So let's give a girl a hand. Follow her. I mean, some of her content is really entertaining. Plus, I always need to see what she's doing with Vivi. All right, so getting to my favorite part of Christy's Couch, and this is the part where you get to write in. It's really a DM, but we'll make it say you get to write in. If you DM me with some of your juiciest problems, I read them aloud, and then I give you advice like only I could give you. Which I don't even know what that means, but just go with it. So if you have something that you would like advice on, you can DM me at Christy Lukasiak on Instagram or at Christy's Couch. And I will happily pick the best and answer them for you. Okay, so we have a few today. The first one is... Okay, here's what it says. So I'm currently in a roommate situation that I have plans to get out of. I just turned 24 and I'm a full-time middle school teacher. dear God, let's thank this woman. Should we set up a GoFundMe or something like a Starbucks coffee charity donation? Because anybody who teaches middle school people has my sincerest respect and potential apologies. And she says, for reference, I teach 156 Claras in a day. I have an 11-year-old. She's in 6th grade. Let me tell you, there's a lot of unspoken rules about having an 11-year-old in 6th grade that I break and violate daily. And then she throws herself on the floor and she's absolutely humiliated by me. So the fact that this person teaches 156 Claras in a day, again, respect. Okay. So she goes on to say, when I get back to my apartment after work, I need alone time to decompress. Same. Okay, well, my roommate works a part-time job and wants to talk my ear off the second I get back and gets very offended if I don't seem interested. But she actually never stops talking. I'm not exaggerating. She can talk for 30 minutes without me saying even one word. Not only that, but when I go to my room for alone time, I even eat dinner in my bedroom to avoid her. She either sings or laughs ridiculously loudly. I've never met someone physically incapable of shutting up. I've thought about it, and when my lease ends, I'm going to get a 1-bedroom apartment, but that puts her in a bind. So I was wondering when would be the best time to tell her and how to approach this. Okay, well, first, let's talk a little bit about your own mental health. I'm dying over the fact that you go in your bedroom for alone time and she's singing and laughing in the apartment. Okay, the first thing I'm going to say you need to get Bose. You know, the brand Bose, they have noise canceling headphones. This is not an ad. I promise this isn't sponsored, but those Bose noise canceling headphones, I use them on all of the flights I take because I cannot stand listening to people cough or clear their throat on an airplane. It makes me bonkers. So I use those even if I'm not listening to something, I just turn them on to cancel the noise. So that's step one. And that will just get you into a good Zen mental health place that you can deal with her. The second thing is I would tell her sooner than later. I know that might be a conversation that sucks, but the sooner you tell her that you're going to move out, the more time she has to kind of make her adjustments or make her plans, because you definitely don't want to put yourself in a situation where you avoid it and then it becomes too late and then you're stuck living with the chatterbox for another year. Like, we want to avoid that. And then maybe you could even position it like, hey, when we first moved in together, I didn't realize that my full-time job was going to be so taxing or hard, or I would need so much rest. And this roommate thing just isn't working out for me. I think I need to live alone in order to, I don't know, show up as my best self or whatever you want to say. But I would definitely say, sooner than later. And I would put it back on, blame the work. Be like, look, these 156 6th graders are making me insane. I just need some alone time. And I don't want to make you crazy in the meanwhile, right? I feel like that's a good answer. Okay. So let's move on to my second question. All right. So this one is, okay. My sister broke up with her boyfriend of quite a while, like roughly 10 to 12 months ago. Okay, so they were dating quite a while and they broke up 10 to 12 months ago. I thought she was saying 10 to 12 months was how long was a while. And I was going to say, no, 20 years is a lot. But anyway, okay, so they were together a while. They broke up like a year ago. And she's sort of been seeing someone new, but nothing official. I cannot even begin to understand this generation's whole, like, we're talking, we're not talking, we're DMing. Oh my God, they snapped me. They left me unopened. There needs to be a chart of rules because I don't get it and it's very confusing and there's a lot of mixed signals. Thank God that didn't exist when I was dating. It was like, hi, is Christy home? Like, they would make a phone call or they would show up and knock at your door. It was very obvious who liked who. I mean, you could even send a note. You would pass it in class and you'd be like, do you like me? Check one. Yes? No. See? Easy. All right. So they've been seeing each other, but it's not official. She's still been talking to her ex, and he just texted me asking me if I knew whether or not she's seeing anyone else. And if she still loves him because he's still in love with her. Okay, well, first of all, we need to get you out of the middle of this because the worst place to be is in the middle of someone else's relationship, for sure. And, no matter what you do in this situation, I feel like somebody's going to end up mad at you. So you need to remove yourself. So if he's texting you and asking you that, first of all, if he has to ask you if she still loves him, that probably should be a signal to him that she doesn't. But look, sometimes people don't pick up on the easiest signals. Am I right? Okay. So I would just say to him, like, look, you're going to have to talk to her about it. I'm not sure how she's feeling. And as far as answering whether or not she's dating someone else, that's not your place to answer. So I would just avoid that question altogether. I wouldn't even give it any sort of attention. Ignore it and just say, I think you're best talking to my sister. And it's up to you, but you might want to give your sister a heads up and say, like, look, you might be giving this ex mixed signals if you're still talking to him. And if you don't like him and you want to move on with the new guy, maybe start to distance yourself a little bit, just so he's not thinking something else is there in the relationship that isn't. Okay, and the final question is, I had a roommate who was the worst. She was a nice person, but it was terrible to live with her. She would invite different guys over all the time, daily, and they would sleep over even if she just met them. And it was so annoying because imagine having strangers in your house every day. Like, even if she lived by herself, then it's her problem. But don't do that when you share the apartment with someone else. Okay, I'm going to say don't do that even if you live alone, or especially if you live alone. Hello, have we never heard about serial killers? Like, I want a full medical and psychological and financial breakdown of people before they're sleeping in my house. I feel like that's where we are in 2021, right? I mean, this is definitely not the days of the 70s where like Ted Bundy could just knock on your door and you'd be like, oh, you're cute, come on in. This isn't even the days of the 90s when we would hook up with somebody at a bar and like they'd come hang out in our apartment. That's a big no. Let's not invite strangers back to our apartment. That's how people get murdered or kidnapped. Just saying. But as far as being a terrible roommate, I do get that. That is very inconsiderate. So maybe have a conversation with her like, hey, blah, blah, blah. It makes me feel uncomfortable when there are people here in the morning that I don't even know who they are. Could you at least maybe, I don't know, introduce me, talk to them for more than 24 hours, or just respect the fact that that makes me feel weird? I definitely think this is something that needs to have a conversation happen around. And P.S. So sometimes people can be a great person and they can be a horrible person to live with. But I'm going to tell you a quick story before I get to my big announcement. I think I had potentially the worst roommate of all time in college. And there were 4 of us in one suite. And one of the girls, she didn't have different guys over all the time because we lived in the dorms and like you couldn't have overnight guests. But she would leave all the time and spend the night in different fraternity houses and apartments and things all around the campus, which, look, no judgment. I don't care that you're doing that. But what I cared about was the fact that she never did her laundry. Okay, which is fine. Again, that's your problem. But when she would be getting ready to go to these like new places or hang out with these new guys or whatever, she didn't have clean laundry. So she would steal our underwear. I'm not even kidding. She stole our undies. Yes, underwear. Exactly what you heard, underwear. She stole our undies. So when we figured out that this was happening, my other roommate put like her name with like a big slash across it and put it on her underwear drawer. And there's a million stories about this girl, but look, anybody who steals your underwear, that's a bad roommate. Okay, so if you have questions that you want me to answer on Christy's Couch, just drop them in my DMs at Christy Lukasiak or at Christy's Couch on Instagram. And if you are selected, I will certainly let you know. Now it's time for my big exciting announcement. Okay, later on in this month, I have an insanely special guest I am bringing to the couch. And this person is going to give us a lot of insight on the creation of Dance Moms, because I am going to be talking to the brains behind it all, the person who thought of it, the person who created it, the person who knew us way back when. And I have a lot of questions for him. And I think you guys are going to be so excited for this interview. So make sure that you subscribe, review, rate, all of those things. And I will see you next week on the couch. Bye.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy podcast on your podcast app.